Hey, what is up guys? Today we're actually going to create ourselves a game menu. So this thing you see here is going to have four really simple buttons. So the resume, the restart, return to hub, which does not work just yet because we don't have hub. We'll cover that in the next episode. And then finally the exit to desktop, which is going to quit the application. Okay guys, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we got quite a lot of things to do in this one actually. So we are going to open up the UI manager first, and we'll go back in our previous code, and we're going to try to create a game menu out of it. Okay, first thing we're going to need before we get inside of the code, we are going to include the system.collection.generic, so we can use list, because we are going to declare ourselves a new list just below the root object. So it is going to be a private list of game objects that I'm going to call all UI, and we will initiate it right here. So basically this one is going to contain all the UI game objects inside the UI root. Okay, now the way we work in this script is we actually declare our field that we need in the specific regions that use them. So right here for the wave information, we declare the wave info and also the wave info text. We are going to do the game menu, so just below the initialize and update, we're going to do a new region. This one is going to be called game menu, and let's end it right here. So inside of the game menu, we're going to need a few fields in here. The first one being a public game object that we'll call game menu object. So that is that's going to be pretty much the container of the whole game menu. And below that, we'll have a bool, so private bool, game menu showing, and let's set it at false for now. And below that, we're gonna have some methods or functions. So the first one is going to be a public void toggle game menu, and we're not gonna take any parameter. It's just gonna be a toggle on and off depending on the previous value. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to code this, but then we're going to go back and create our game menu inside the engine. So let's just start by creating this real quick. So first off, game menu showing, which is our bool, is now going to be equal to not game menu showing. So this way, if it's on, it's now off, and if it was off, it's now on. And then we'll do for each game object geo in all UI. So for every single of the UI object, we're gonna go ahead and set them on or off. So go.setActive, and we'll do not game menu showing, just like this. And once we're done applying this setActive to every single object, we're gonna go ahead and take our game menu object, and we're going to turn it on or off depending on the value of game menu showing. So game menu object dot set active, and we're going to do game menu showing. So now if you look at this right here, for every single object in the UI root, it's going to be turning it off or on, and let's say it turns it on, then the game menu is going to be turned off because this is a different value because of the not operator right here. So now that we have all this, we actually forgot to put something in our list. So back here in the initialize, we're going to do all UI. Actually, we're going to do for each. So for each transform t in root.transform. So for every single transform object in the root, we're going to do all UI add, and we're gonna add t.gameObject. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create our game menu. We're gonna go ahead and put our scene in 2D, and I'm gonna take my UI root over here in my scene, and I'll go ahead and create myself a panel inside of that. So UI panel, and I'll go ahead and rename it to game menu, just like this. Now I'll also set the anchor to middle left. That's where I want my menu to be. So I'll be putting the width on, say, 500 or maybe 450. And yeah, so that's going to be my game menu. It's going to come from the left. Once we do the animation, it's going to look more pretty, but right now it's going to be static since we're not touching art just yet. So it's just going to be there for now. So I'm putting it anchored on the left, and inside of that, I'm going to create myself another panel. This one is going to be stretch horizontally, and as for the height, I'll put, say, 500. So I have another subdivision here, and inside of that panel, I go ahead and create myself some buttons. So the first one is going to be resume. So I'm renaming my button, then I'm going inside of that button, there is the text component, and I'll go ahead and change that as well to resume. Now let's go ahead and create ourselves another button. This one is going to be restart, which is going to be just a restart level in case it's not going well or something. So same thing, I go in the text and I change it to restart. Now I'll duplicate it again, and this one is going to be return to hub. Again, go back in the text, return to hub, and I'll also move it over here so we can see it. And one last button, which is going to be exit to desktop. Okay, so we're gonna start by adding these four functionalities to our game menu, and then we're gonna move on to making some option stuff. Okay, well, first off, I want my buttons to be all even, and I want them to be aligned in the center of my panel here. So what I'll do is, on my panel, I'll go ahead and add a vertical layout group, which is going to make them all the same size, and it's going to reposition them and also rescale. Now I do not want my buttons to be force expand, so I'll uncheck that and also uncheck the height. I will go ahead and put a layout element component on every single one of my buttons. So take a button over here, add a new layout element, and I'll be putting a minimum width of, say, 300 and a minimum height of 75, just like this. And I'll be doing the same thing on the other buttons. So layout element on this one, minimum width of 300 and minimum height of 75. Same thing to this button here, minimum width 300, 75, layout element 300 and then 75. Okay, now I'll go back inside my vertical layout group here, and I'll set that to middle center. So the child alignment, set it to middle center, and do a little spacing here, so maybe 10 pixels. Okay, so that's going to be our menu, and pretty much if we try it out in game now, let's go on our UI manager and put the game menu inside the game menu object. So for this to work, we're going to need some kind of toggle in our game, some kind of trigger that toggles our menu on and off. So to do that, let's go back inside our UI manager, and over here we have the region that says initialize or update. We're now ready to start coding our update, so let's go ahead and just below initialize, inside the initialize and update region, we're going to do a private void update. And in here, I will be doing a if input.get key down, and say we're getting the key code escape. Then if that's the case, we are simply going to do toggle game menu, just like this. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out in game, see what kind of result we get. So I'm going to press play. On, off, on, off, on, off, just like this. So if you notice, at the very first frame or very first initialize of the game, we have the menu and also our UI. So we need to avoid having our menu there when we launch the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our menu turned off, just like this. And this way, when we start our game, it's not there. Then we press escape. it pops, and on and off. Okay. A little bit later on, something I want to do once we get into the art stuff, I want to create a camera state and also a movement state that locks our player's movement and also zooms on him. So we're going to have some kind of zooming effect on our character, and then he's not going to be able to move and maybe rotate the camera around him. So just some kind of cool stuff that we can do a little bit later on. And okay, so let's proceed. We're actually going to add some function to these, because now these buttons, they don't do anything, and that's not cool. So let's go ahead and pop our menu back up. We are going to create ourselves some function inside of the UI manager. So we are going to stay inside the game menu region. Okay, well, the first function we can do, we already have the code for, is the resume. So if you go inside the resume button over here, and then you expand the button component, inside the onClick event, we can go hit the little plus sign, then assign the UI manager to it. And inside of that UI manager, you are going to see the toggle game menu down here. So if we hit play on this, when I press resume, it should toggle the game menu on and off. So as you can see, it's a simple resume mechanic. Okay, next one is restart. So this one is fairly simple as well. We're going to go right below toggle game menu, declare ourselves a public void, and let's call it restart level. In here, all we'll have to do is say application.load level, and then we're going to do application.loaded level. Loaded level. Just like this. So this way the application is going to load the active scene. So we're simply just rebooting the scene. Okay, let's try it out. So back here, we're going to do restart, onClick event, add the UI manager down here, new function, UI manager, and where is it at? Restart level over here. Okay. Now just tell yourself that the menu is not going to be there when we build. So say I'm fighting, and it's going really badly. Now I press escape, restart, and there we are. Fresh start. Okay, so our restart button works. Now we're going to do return to hub. And this one is going to be a little bit complicated because we do not have a hub yet. That's going to be for the next episode. So we'll still code the function, but it's not going to work in this one. So let's just do public void, return to hub. And in here we'll do application.load level again, and we're going to load the hub. This takes in the scene name hub, which we still don't have, but we're going to create in the next episode. Okay, and as for the last one, public void exit to desktop. All we have to do is application.quit, like this. Okay. Now let's go back in our game, not in our game, but in our UI, and we're going to assign these button some function. So for the return to hub button, I'm going to go in the onClick event, drag and drop the UI manager, and then UI manager, this is return to hub. Okay, same thing for exit to desktop. Drag it here, function UI manager, and exit to desktop. Everything should work fine now. We're going to go ahead and toggle off our game menu. And this is the final result we should get in the game. So here we are. Let's hit resume, restart, return to hub. Hub cannot be loaded because it does not exist yet. And then exit to desktop, which does not work. It is not going to work in the editor. So just to show you that this works, we're going to build this real quick. Just really quickly hit build and run. And I'll go ahead and create myself a build folder. Let's call this build. And we're actually going to launch our game in a real.exe. So right now it's building. Let's put the good resolution. So 1920, 1080, that's exactly what we're running in the game. Now if we hit play, this is our game. And I'm hitting resume, restart, return to hub does not work, but we do not get the error. and then exit to desktop, it actually quits the application. So guys, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you learned something or if you enjoyed this, please leave it a like. If you have any question or comment, please leave them in the comment section below. Also subscribe for more tutorial. Again, thanks for watching, and I will be seeing you in the next episode.